In this video, we're going to just cover a question that was provided by a new subscriber on the 127 grain Lehigh Defense controlled chaos video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll post a link at the end of this so that you can be able to check it out. For reference, I have the webcam up here, and then I have a monitor here, and I have a monitor here. So if you see my eyes darting back and forth, that's why. The question came in from David Sigmund. He says, I have a new 270 Winchester rifle. Good job. I've been looking at non-lead hunting bullets, also a good idea. So this video was perfect for me. Thank you. Two questions. One, you mentioned marginal stability with the standard 1 in 10 twist. What size groups were you getting at 100 yards? Okay, so he's equating stability factor with accuracy. Okay, I understand why he did that. Not why I talked about marginal stability, but we'll get to that. Number two, on the 2 deer your wife and you took with minimal meat damage, which is something I said in the comments, were you aiming for a heart double lung shot or high shoulder shot? Thanks. Okay, so heart and double lung shot, those are actually 2 different shots. I don't like to take a heart shot because when you take a heart shot, you could send an animal on a dead run. What happens is you could take out the heart, there's still like a lot of oxygenated blood flowing within that animal, and then that animal starts running because of adrenaline and it's suffering. And I don't like to make an animal suffer at all. I feel like God has blessed us with these animals, and these animals are giving their life for us to be able to eat. And so I don't want to cause needless suffering. So I don't like to take a heart shot. Also, we eat the heart. It's good meat. And so to take a heart shot would waste meat. A high shoulder shot, I'm going to guess, is what he's referring to as more of the beginner shot, where you line the crosshairs up with the front leg of an animal, and then you take out the shoulder to drop it in place. I don't like taking those shots because that also wastes a lot of meat. And again, I feel like it's disrespectful to the life of the animal to waste that. I could understand where there's points where people would prefer to take that high shoulder shot, but I just don't. And then the double lung shot is more in reference to the type of shot that we take. We aim for like kind of the pocket behind the shoulder, and what this will do is it'll collapse the chest cavity and cause generally an animal to drop quickly. It'll remove oxygen, and they'll faint and bleed out. So the first question he asked is the reason why I'm making this video. He said I mentioned marginal stability with a 1 in 10 twist. So my stability factor on that bullet was 1.266. I was shooting out of a 22.5 inch barrel, and my velocity was 3,150 feet per second. The stability factor, generally people, what the minimum recommendation is going to be 1.3, and then the recommendation for long range shooting tends to be around 1.5. He asked me what size groups I was getting at 100 yards. So he's equating the reason why I mentioned stability factor with accuracy, and that's not why I mentioned it. Although stability factor has a lot to do with accuracy, my accuracy, I was actually getting a 1/2 inch to 5/8 inch at 100 yards, and at 250, I'm getting around 2 inches. The reason why I mentioned stability factor has more to do with terminal performance than accuracy. So what is stability factor? Stability factor is the reason why we have twist rates on rifling, and why we, on longer bullets, on larger bullets for caliber, we like to have a faster twist. So when the bullet leaves the barrel, I'm not talking about a bullet drop. I'm not talking about windage where the bullet goes left and right. We're talking about how stable that bullet is in flight. So if it's corkscrewing or if it's wobbling. And when you see really low stability factor, you can actually see where a bullet yaws and it will rotate, and it will actually keyhole in a target, and it will, if it's keyholing in a target, it'll land also flat on the broadside of an animal, which is not going to do any good for you. So when you're taking long range shots, you want a nice, good, high stability factor to make sure that that bullet is going to remain accurate at longer ranges. The other reason why you want a good high stability factor has to do with the terminal performance of a bullet, and that's why I'm actually going over this in this test. So if you're familiar at all with the ballistic gel tests, I do. I'll do a gel test, and then after the gel test, I'll go back to the desk and I'll go over a JVM ballistics chart that will cover the velocities that we did in the test. And then at the end of the chart, I'll mention the stability factor. So if you can imagine, again, that bullet wobble, and imagine if that bullet wobbles and then it enters into a test medium or it enters into an animal and it's not perfectly straight. If that bullet is crooked in one way or another, it's going to affect the way that the bullet opens up and actually does its performance inside the animal. And that matters a lot more when we're looking at these hollow point bullets and we're looking at copper monolithic bullets than it does when we're looking at soft point bullets. A soft point bullet has a nice large nose, so even if the stability factor is a little bit marginal on those bullets, that large nose is going to really just open up the round no matter what. So if you're shooting like a 160 grain nodular partition out of a 270 Winchester and that stability factor is, kind of more marginal, it won't really matter so much. That bullet's going to open up regardless. But if you're shooting a Barnes TSX bullet that has that little hollow point and the stability factor is not very good, then you can end up with a Barnes bullet that doesn't open up. You also have these Hammer Hunter bullets that they have a smaller hollow point so that they can do well at longer ranges. And what Hammer really likes to stress is to make sure that you have good twist and stability factor for your given application. They know that if you use a bullet with improper stability factor, with a low stability factor, it's not going to perform the way that you want on hunting ranges. And those guys at Hammer really care about performance in hunting applications. But when you're looking at the larger hollow points on, say, like a Lehigh Defense bullet, you see how much bigger that Lehigh Defense hollow point is than this Hammer bullet. Even if the Lehigh Defense bullet has marginal stability and it's a little bit off, that's going to give them more of a fudge factor when it comes to terminal performance, just like the soft point bullet's going to give more of a fudge factor when it comes to terminal performance. Now, bullet manufacturers are well aware of this. I've spoken with Berger about this as well as Hammer. So when I was speaking with the technicians at Berger, that's one of the reasons why they say that they, in their hunting line of bullets, they'll have that recommended twist rate. So the reason why they have the recommended twist rate is not just so that it'll fly straight, but so that they will, so that their Berger bullets will actually open up for you, so that they don't get a bad reputation by people who don't understand why the stability factor is important for their hunting applications. So then the question is, why doesn't everybody just open up the nose of their bullet like Lehigh Defense does in order to get good performance? Well, the wider that you make that hole, the lower your ballistic coefficient will tend to be. So bullet manufacturers like Barnes try to get around it by putting these plastic tips. And that plastic tip will actually increase the stability factor and allow them to be able to use a larger hole a larger hollow point at the front of their bullet. I hope this helps you guys to be able to understand why we go over stability factor at the end of the videos. So I hope this helps you. I hope this answers your question. Thank you so much, David, for posting it. It's given me some good thought. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Want to be able to bring some more ballistic gel tests. We'll also be having some devotional content for hunters as well. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and post them below. I will do my best to be able to answer those questions. And then also, if it is a really good question I feel like making a video for, I might go ahead and do that too. Hope you guys have a great day and good shooting.